Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can I begin by congratulating my honourable friend, the member for Newcastle-under-Lyme, for securing this debate and for all his efforts and leadership in championing the Irish in Britain and advocating for cooperative relationships with Northern Ireland for many years. Lofela Pádraig Honadív, happy St Patrick's Day. In this debate about St Patrick's Day, I want to put on record that it is no longer a day, but a season.
Exactly.
It starts somewhere in early March, around the time of my birthday, and carries on for a full month. I think today's debate marks the end of it. I have what I call green fatigue at this stage of the month, where I don't want to see any more St Patrick's paraphernalia, and certainly no Guinness for quite a while. And it has once again been a fantastic season, though, celebrating the best of the Irish community in Britain. I'd like to point to my registry of interests as well. I am chair of the Labour Party Irish Society, very proud to be chair, and have been for the past 5 years. We represent the Irish community in Britain and champion strong cooperative relationships between Ireland and Britain and Northern Ireland as well. And 2 years ago, I think someone touched on the Good Friday Agreement, I was very proud to have opened the Mo Mowlam Studio for Cinematic Arts at Ulster University in Derry, one of many great figures from our party who contributed to that peace agreement, which is in the DNA of the Labour Party as well. And I'm very, very proud of that. I know lots has been said about Guinness. I just want to say, as the sponsor of Choice Irish refreshments, Jameson are also available to people. But in fact, it is Tato crisps that actually, I think, worth noting, where more than a crisp, actually, it's a way of educating people. It's a way of educating people about Ireland and Irish politics. A lot of people don't know there are two types of Tato crisp. There is from the north and from the south, or as I call them, the Nordy Tato and the Free Stato. It's always a good way of explaining to people the differences. Look, as I said in my maiden speech in this place, I am proud to be London Irish. It's the community I grew up in and the community I want to pay particular tribute to today. I'm also proud to represent Beckenham and Penge, and with it, the only place in London, or the only constituency in London, with a Gaelic place name. Penge means edge of the woods. And we have a fantastic Irish community here. All four of my grandparents are from Ireland. I had two grannies from the south and two granddads from the north. And I, in particular, I think my granny would be very proud. I was wondering if she was still here when I was elected, what she would have done. I know for a fact she'd have gone to the 9 a.m. mass and then the 10:30 a.m. mass to make sure that everyone knew that her grandson had been elected as an MP. Look, a couple of years ago at the London Irish Centre, there was an exhibition curated by the national charity Irish in Britain, which for the first time I can remember really told the story of the London Irish community over several generations. The London Irish did as much as any community to build this great city. Irish navvies dug the underground, and then Irish construction workers rebuilt our city after the war. I know that today we have a fantastic construction industry in London with so many Irish people involved, and I know today we have the founder and members from the London Irish Construction Network, including Sean Daly and Frank O'Hare, here to watch the debate. And also, as it's been touched upon by the member for Newcastle and Under-Lyme, waves of thousands of young Irish women came to staff our hospitals at the birth of the NHS in this country. Those women, known as the Angels of Mercy, were often overlooked but essential to the NHS. And as someone who spent a lot of time in NHS hospitals as a teenager, especially the Royal London Hospital and the National Orthopaedic Hospital, my Irish dad would often look after me. We'd often encounter an Irish nurse, and before I could get treated, they had to establish how they knew each other. So it would begin with, what county are you from, then what town are you from, do you know so-and-so, and once they've made that connection, then you were free to get on with your day. And the Irish in Britain have maintained that relationship with the NHS ever since, and I'm really proud that there are more Irish staff in the NHS today than from any other European country. And even if we think more recently to a global health emergency, if we think back to COVID, it was an Irish woman in Professor Theresa Lamb at Oxford University who co-developed the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. And then it was Margaret Keenan, an Irish woman from Enniskillen, living in Coventry and a former NHS nurse, who became the first person in the world to have the vaccine. So the Irish connection to the NHS is really deep, really strong, something that our community is incredibly proud of. But the exhibition also charted the history of how the Irish community were received here, and as has been touched upon today, that wasn't always easy. Alongside the Windrush generation and the West Indian community, it's important to remember there has been a lot of solidarity between those communities, but they were together often treated with suspicion and subjected to discrimination, including the signs which read "No blacks, no dogs, no Irish." But the London Irish community, and indeed the Irish community across Britain today, is a community transformed. It is confident in the contributions it makes to every aspect of life in Britain: economic, political, social, cultural. The Irish community helped to make our country the great place it is to live. I also want to extend that beyond London to the home counties as well. My honourable friend, the member for Reading Central, who is here today, I know can't take part in the debate, but has long been a champion of Irish contribution to Reading Football Club and to the Reading Irish Centre, which I've been to, and does incredible work to support the Irish community in Reading. As well as celebrating the contributions of the Irish community in Britain, I do just want to touch upon a campaign I started in the last few weeks, which is to secure justice for 13,000 survivors of Ireland's mother and baby homes living in Britain. We often need to remember the reason why lots of people left Ireland and decided to come to Britain. For some it was work, for some it was to be with friends and family, but in the case of thousands of women who were sent to these homes for the perceived sin of becoming pregnant outside of marriage, it was to escape these institutions and to escape the stigma that often came with having been in one. There are more than 13,000 survivors living in Britain today, both women and children who were born into them. They were subjected to some of the most horrific mistreatment and abuse in these homes. Women were used as unpaid labour. Their children were often forcibly adopted. I've named this law Philomena's Law after Philomena Lee, who I felt brought that story to a global audience in the film Philomena, where she's portrayed by Dame Judi Dench. We had an evening 2 nights ago. It was packed in a room in Parliament where survivors came and told their stories. It was incredibly powerful to hear from them the impact that it's having on them many years later. And I hope the government will listen to the proposals we're putting forward, because at the moment, if they accept the compensation payment that they've been awarded from the Irish government, but they are in receipt of means-tested benefits, they will lose that compensation. And hearing from survivors this week, it's actually become an additional burden for many of these women, now often in their 80s and 90s, some of them very vulnerable. Back to the Irish in Britain, I just want to say as well that the pride of the second generation Irish community, which I am one today, and the growth of Irish culture and its importance right across Britain, we see that in the growth of the GAA in Britain, the Gaelic Athletics Association. And today that is not just people of Irish heritage who get involved, but people from all communities and all backgrounds who are participating in GAA. In language as well, the Irish language, and people adopting Irish names. My cousin Jordan and his partner Annie had a baby a couple of weeks ago, had a little girl, and I want to congratulate them. And they've named her Fia, which is Irish for wild. I think she'll be taking after her dad. And that's very common now, that people are very proud of their heritage, often several generations back. We see it in Irish music, in Irish culture. For years, where the Irish community was subjected to discrimination, we now have a period where you could turn on the TV on a Friday night and watch Graham Norton on BBC One and Derry Girls on Channel 4. And that's a representation of how far the Irish community has come. In trade unions and the labour movement, we see it as well. I think there was a period a year or two ago where the General Secretary of every single major trade union in this country was either first or second generation Irish. And there is no more visible transformation of the confidence of the London Irish community over time than in the growth of the Mayor of London's St Patrick's Day Parade. And I was very proud to take part in that with our Mayor, Sir Sadiq Khan, this month, where over 50,000 people joined that parade and participated in it, and London was awash with green. What makes, to sum up, what makes the Irish community so special for me is that it is an inclusive and welcoming community. At the entrance to that exhibition at the London Irish Centre 2 years ago, there was a plaque that read, "Ar scatha héile a Warrenadina," which means, "In the shelter of each other, the people live." It is an Irish proverb which sums up what makes our community in Britain so special and sums up neatly the Irish contribution to making our country the great place it is to live. Thank again my honourable friend, the member for Newcastle under Lyne, for securing this.